Good afternoon. In this video, we're going to go over this week's options watch list. Before I get into the watch list, if you're not in the room, you can find the link in the description of the video and my bio section of social media accounts. Also, please like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. One of the things I want to point out is, before I get to that, put the call ratio right now is at, it's not that really high. It's kind of right in the middle, 0.65. It was high a couple days ago, but yeah, it's not really that high right now. The economic calendar for the week, Monday, don't see anything. Tuesday, flash manufacturing and services PMI at 945. That's about it. Wednesday, durable goods, not really too much of a mover. Don't see anything with that. Thursday, unemployment claims, pending home sales. That's all I see for Thursday. And let's see, Friday, we got core PCE price index and revised consumer sentiment. You got to be careful with the revised consumer sentiment because that's where they like to. They put out their numbers, then the revisions what it actually was, because the numbers they release, they make it look good. They fudge numbers to make it look good, and so make Biden look good because no one looks at the revised numbers, but the revised numbers end up being way lower than the actual numbers they posted, and they end up probably being more accurate. So, well, as more accurate as they can be, they're probably still fudged even being revised, but. Anyways, enough with that. I'm going to be watching the same stocks I was watching last week. Not much has really changed. The only thing that's changed a lot is we had 5 red days in a row, and we don't usually have 5 red days in a row. Not for a long time. I don't even know when the last time we had 5 red days in a row. Let's go back. Let's look. No, it's 3. This is 4. And that's only 4. There's 3. 3's been the magic number. 3 right there. It's 4. Yeah, so having 5 red days in a row, that's pretty unusual. It's pretty rare in the last couple of years. Now I was going to say put the call, but the weekly candles right at the middle Keltner channel, which is the 20 EMA on the weekly. That's a good place for it to bounce. It did fill the gap from over here. So I'm looking for a bounce. Tomorrow. We could see a short squeeze. Usually short squeezes last 2 to 3 days. Then we could end up possibly going lower if more stuff ends up happening with Iran and Israel. But I'm looking for a bounce. I would watch it over 497 for push to 500. 505, 510, 515, 520. I'm expecting if we have a strong day, we're probably going to end up seeing a $10 day on a short squeeze day. And if that's the case, we're going to be 505. Depending if we don't gap up, we could gap up $5 and run $5 to $10. So we could be at 510. Who knows? So that's my thesis. I'm watching for on SPYs. I'm watching for it to bounce. But yeah, I can go lower, but to me, 5 red days in a row, I highly doubt it's going to be 6, but never say never, because anytime you say nothing, so whenever you say something will never happen, it always ends up making you look like an idiot, and it happens. So one thing I want to point out is the daily. Let me get back to the actual daily. Okay, there we go. I had a big run up to $19, and I had a big gap up, then it sold off. So we could end up seeing a drop down to 17 or 16 or even 15. If we have a SPY has a strong day, we're probably going to end up having a VIX back down to 15, because usually we did break the trend line. We didn't quite get to 22, the other trend line, but the usually when you see that, you get 3 green days in a row, 3 green weeks in a row on VIX, and that's kind of highly unusual too, except for back when we actually have fear. But yeah, we got 3 right here. Then the next week was red right there. So we can end up seeing something similar to this. This whole setup, blow it up right here. here. I mean, we get the 3-day, and then we get the pullback, then it pops more. We could do the same thing. 3 green weeks, a pullback down to 15, then we pop back up to 22 to 24 or something. So keep an eye on that for VIX. So I'm only thinking that we're going to get a 1 or 2 day bounce, maybe 3 tops. Tesla is actually getting pretty low. It's at the 30 RSI on the weekly. I mean the daily. Weekly is close to the 30. It's at 33. Plus we had a little bit of support right down here under 150. I mean it's under 150 right now, but I would watch it for. I mean, I feel like if it gets to $100 again, I'm gonna end up buying a ton of it. But I don't think we're gonna get back to 100. But you never know. So I'd be watching for a bounce over 150. We'll go 148 to 150 to 155, 160. Get a gap fill above 160 to 162, 165, 170, 175. So Tesla looking for a bounce on that. Apple. I mean, it looks like it wants to bounce on the hourly because it's pretty oversold on the hourly. But I mean, you still got some downside. It has not tested this trend line since we broke out over in April of last year. So we didn't test it here. We could come back down and retest this right around the 155 area. So if the market's weak or it does have a short squeeze, we could end up probably seeing a little bit of a bounce maybe to 170 and then coming back down to 155. So we'll have to see if that happens. But, you know, Apple, I mean, you could be a good long over 165, 166 into the 170s. But I still think eventually it's going to come back down and retest this trend line. So we'll have to see if that actually happens or not on Apple. Amazon ended up not breaking out, I don't think. I can't really remember. Did it ever break out? Yeah, it did. But yeah, it did break out from all-time high because that was like 180. Yeah, it did get to 189. So almost got to 190. I think I said last week if it broke out, it'll get to 190 or a couple weeks ago. Now it rejected that area pretty harshly. Obviously, if the market bounces, Amazon's going to go with it. But if it doesn't, watch it underneath 172, 173, which is this low, this hourly candle, to do a gap support test down here at the 167 area on that. Then he's going to get a gap fill down here, 160 on Amazon. So have to see if that happens. BA is just not having a good time. I mean, they're just having all kinds of problems. We had a small weekly candle. Look at all these small candles on the daily. Kind of very, very small. Should we blow this up? No, that's blown up. Okay. I mean, not much volatility on Boeing. So this past week, but well, you get kind of like a trend line going right here. I mean, if you draw from here to here, I mean, it goes down to 160. I mean, it's got room to 160. It's got support right here, right there at this 170 area, which it broke. But yeah, but you could easily bounce up over 170 and go to 180. But on the daily, got a little bit of a flag right here. So to me, if you're going to play BA, I would take calls, or not take calls, take it over 172 for push to 175, 180, and watch for the lows of these hourly candles below 168. It gets below 168. Probably going to see 160 pretty quickly on Boeing. Disney, let's see. Disney did pull back a little bit. So not much. You can get a little bit of a pullback. It's kind of holding the bottom of the Kelvin channel on the daily. I'd like to see it come back down to the 107 area and retest this gap support right here. But who knows if it will or not. Netflix kind of shot themselves in the foot with the earnings. I know that they beat, but they just end up dropping substantially. But they had a massive run up too, so it's probably just balancing out. And same thing could end up happening to Disney, that they could just end up just missing or beating, and it just expectations weren't that good. Our guidance wasn't good. Come back down to 100 and fill that gap. So gap support is at 107, gap fills at 100. So Disney, keep an eye on that. Not sure when earnings is on Disney. Let's see, 5/7, so that's going to be in a couple weeks. Now, what else? Microsoft. We're going to talk about Netflix in a minute. Microsoft had a big weekly pullback. NVIDIA got crushed a little bit. Now, this is where it's been getting bought at the 400, right under 400. Got bought, took off. Now, it's at under 400. Now, the question is, will it stay under 400, or is NVIDIA going to end up running? We'll have to see, because I think a lot of it will have to be dependent on NVIDIA. But likely, it has been holding support right here. So if it does not hold the support, we got, let's get room to 390, 385, and 380 on that. So definitely keep an eye on that. If the market's strong, it obviously is going to bounce with it. NVIDIA just took a major dump on Friday. I mean, look at the big sizes, red candle. It's almost down to the Keltner channel right here, which is right around 730. And it's got a gap fill down here at the 680 area. So maybe we go down here and fill this gap down to 700. We'll have to keep an eye on that and see if that does do that. And I remember, keep in mind that the RCT trend line is back down here at the 550 area. So this ends up acting as a huge magnet. Anytime it gets away from it, it comes back down. It got away from it and just kept going and going and going. Now it could actually come back down. I don't know. I'm not saying it's going to get back down to 550 this week, but it definitely is going to end up seeing this RCT trend line eventually. Question is, who knows when on that. So last one is Netflix. We talked about the earnings. Had good earnings, but yeah, just gapped down. Guidance I don't think was good. And we're back down to this 550 area. So I would watch it underneath 552 for push to 550 and gap support of 535 right here. And if we did get back down the gap support right here, I'll look for a gap fill down to the 500 area on this. So Netflix could end up being a good play. We'll have to see what happens with that. So hourly's really oversold RSI lately. So we could end up seeing a bounce to 560, 565, maybe even 575, then make new lows, playing into the fact that, SPY does have a day or two strong that it could bounce, then end up dropping more. So Netflix, definitely keep an eye on that. So a couple things to keep an eye on. And that's going to do it. Who knows what will happen this week? No Feds to talk. No Feds are talking this week because you got FOMC next week. So it could be an interesting week. Hopefully be volatile. It's just it's hard to say. I'm thinking that, like I said, that we're going to have a bounce tomorrow and Tuesday. We'll have to see if it actually happens. I need to be in the room to find out what we're going to do, and that's going to be it. So thanks for watching.